Hi everybody, this is Hipper here. This is my first video, and those of you who know me probably won't find it too surprising that I've chosen to start out with Atago. In this video I'll try to explain to you how I play the ship, and I hope you like the style. It's aggressive, and it's borderline reckless at times. Right, I'll start up with the mods I have on my ship, and first of all I go for main battery mod and steering gears, and I'd use steering gears again, and for the last mod here I use the main battery again. Torpedoes I use the standard 10-kilometer ones. My pick for commander is Mikawa with the Muller and Fraser as inspirations to get extra speed. The extra concealment on Mikawa is nice too. For the first perk I always go with Ingenious, that's a must. Second, I also go with speed and rudder, always. Third, you can go with speed, or you can go with the increased durability. I always go with speed. Fourth, I pick rudder again. And for the legendary perk, I choose the extra consumable, which will give me an extra heal, which I really cannot live without at T7. Now putting these upgrades and the commander together, you'll get a very agile cruiser. It's pretty much, well, I think it is the fastest cruiser in the game, going almost 43 knots, and I'm pretty sure if I had upgraded Fraser to Legendary 4, it would probably go 43. You also have one of the fastest rudders available. What you don't have though is a good turning radius. At 790 meters, it's pretty much on par with a battleship, and you really have to be careful with that. So what this means is that you can go very, very fast in this build, and if you're turning up to about 60 degrees, you can turn really, really fast. Turning more than 60 degrees and the big, slow turning radius will rear its ugly head, and you really have to make sure that you're not targeted by anyone if you go ahead and do 180. For this build to work, you really need a lot of space. And I mean, most maps have enough space for this to be viable. There's a few where it sometimes turns out that you'll be either squeezed against an island, or people will push you towards the map edge. And those maps are fault line and grease, so just be a little bit careful there. The maps with a plus to the left are the ones where this build really shines. Alright, with that, let's get into some gameplay. First I'll show you how I usually get off to a good start with this build. I always steam in full speed ahead. If it's capture the base flag, I go for the exact middle of the map. If it's domination, I pick whatever flank I'm closest to. In this case, there's a destroyer that I can support going in, which is great. Sometimes there isn't anyone, and it doesn't matter to me, I'll still go in by myself, because I want to be the first one spotted. Once you're spotted, that's the critical moment. This is a time where you decide if you want to push or you want to turn around and head back. As this is a capture the base map, there's really no need to push ahead too early. And with only one battleship out there, I would be able to do it on a domination, and I would probably turn right and engage him. But as it is here, there's no one challenging the destroyer with me, so I can leave him safely behind while I turn around, and in case someone comes up and tries to engage him, I can still cover him sailing away. Another thing is the fact that nobody on my team seems to be too keen on pushing ahead this early, so I really don't have a choice other than to turn around. A key thing here is to have your ship already positioned so you're ready to go either forwards or go back again, and obviously in this case I did. I also make sure I have an island that will cover my broadside when I have to turn the ship around, which takes a long time. And there we go. I have turned around, and the destroyer is putting up some smoke for me, which is really nice, but I don't really need it. And another thing is that with this build, I never sit still, even in smoke. The Atago is simply too squishy. If someone picks you up and are able to fire a few salvos at you, you have to keep moving all the time with this build. It's imperative. And now I'm coming out from behind, covering up the island, and everybody's going to be targeting me, which is good. That's what I want with this build. I want everyone to shoot at me. because it's really hard to hit an Atago going this fast with such a fast rudder. So this is called evasion tanking, where we have pretty much, 7 ships shooting at us, but not hitting at all. And pretty much all they're achieving is giving away their position and allowing my team, if they were perhaps a little bit more awake in this game, to fire back while the other ships are reloading. Once I go dark, which will happen any second now, I'll pretty much just turn around and do the whole thing again until I can break through somehow. If you're feeling particularly adventurous, you can also fire your guns while you're going in towards the middle of the map to attract more attention, to make sure you are the first ship targeted and of course spotted as well. Go broadside and check for incoming salvos. As soon as you see them, you'll have to figure out, do I need to evade or can I just continue going? Usually the first salvos you can just continue going. It's not until the second that you'll actually have to take some drastic maneuvering. And this is just another example of what I mean. You come out, you make a judgment call. Do I continue or do I fall back? And in this case, we'll fall back again. There's simply just too many red ships already targeting us, and we'll make use of our agility or our speed to make them waste all their shots. So hopefully my team can get into a better position. One thing you'll need to master with this build is the fake turn, and I'll show you here what I mean. What happens is you're coming out from cover and you are immediately targeted by 2 battleships. Now the battleships are only 10 kilometers away and they already got you sighted. So if you hit, well, it's back to port. So what I do is I just turn a little bit. I keep showing broadside to lure them into shooting at me. And I just wait for that moment when they shoot. The key is to trick them into thinking that you are less agile than you really are. And as soon as they fire, then you go half speed or you stop completely and you turn your rudder 100%. And there we go, that's 3 salvos avoided at point blank range. Well, sometimes things don't work out the way you want and you'll just have to make the best of it. In this example, for example, I'm all alone on the flank and I am being hunted by no less than 4 fast-firing AP cruisers. And that really is the Achilles heel of Atago. If you're fighting cruisers, you really shouldn't be fighting more than 1 at a time. And if you're fighting 2, you're in real trouble. Especially if they are hard-hitting AP cruisers, like the Fiji here and even the Leander, which actually ends up killing me here. And if you're facing like a German T7 cruiser like Hipper or Prince Eugen, you have to be careful. And the same goes with Edinburgh and also Wichita. Baltimore is not that much of a problem because the reload is slow enough for you to be able to show broadside and still fire back without him being able to citadel you. And that's the problem I'm facing right here in the clip. Even if I was just facing 1 AP cruiser, their reload is so fast that I'm not able to shoot back enough to be able to kill them. It's simply not possible. So I'm just running away and hoping for the best. And in this example, I actually make them waste almost 2 minutes chasing me. So basically, because I'm not able to show broadside, I can't utilize my full firepower, and these cruisers are going to out DPM me, and there's pretty much nothing I can do about it other than try to run away, which was never going to work. Then on the other hand, if you reach that critical point I talked about earlier, where you have to decide, do I go back or do I continue pushing? Sometimes, well, most of the times, you can actually continue pushing, especially in this case, where if you look at the ship, the row of ships, top of the screen, there's only 1 cruiser in the game, which is your biggest problem, and that cruiser is down at A. So there's not really anyone here that you have to worry about too much. So engage the destroyers first, of course, and as you see that a lot of them suddenly pop up here, and in this case there's that annoying battleship that keeps firing at you with both secondaries and primaries, and we'll have to take it out if we have to like, capture this cap. And again, destroyers are priority, so we'll try to take out the Bismarck with torpedoes while we try to angle and not get citadel him at the same time, and also avoid torpedoes and whatever else these little destroyers decide to send at us. So here we'll be a little bit multitasking. We'll send some torpedoes this way, and we'll basically just be rushing the destroyers. So even if they smoke up, then I'll be within minimum visible range, and I'll be able to take them out. Even if my sonar runs out, which it will do soon.
Enemy battleship destroyed. We've got 2 of them.
And here we have another example where I've already been testing these guys 2 or 3 times, I think. Basically going back and forth and finding out they're still too strong to engage, so I'll turn back and try again. And I was lucky here that my team actually helped me take out the 2 cruisers that were the main problem. Without them, I mean, unless you're facing an extremely good battleship player, you will be able to outmaneuver them and out DPM them pretty much all the time. As you can tell from the little number above the eye up there, that actually comes from the ingenious perk that I talked about earlier, which is absolutely important. These guys don't even really notice me until I am pretty much on top of them, which is a huge mistake. You don't want to let an Atago this close if you're in a battleship. It's pretty much suicide. So as usual, I focus the destroyer first, and then I try to keep that island in the distance between the 2 battleships and myself and the rest of their team, so I don't have to worry about the odd citadel shot coming from somewhere off the map. And I fired torpedoes at the Monarch, so I'll try to set a fire on the Richelieu instead, and that worked out well. He's all alone now and cornered, and that usually means that he'll go for the ram. So you got to prepare for that. So you'll be lining up for a nice torp run here, and I mean he's only going to be able to get perhaps 1 more salvo off before it's good night. There we go, and yeah, he did his best, but it just wasn't good enough. And yeah, torps for you, and yeah, the flank is won. Here's another example where the game has just started and I've just been rushing in. I haven't really been stopped by anyone on the way, and the 3 guys over here are already spotted. So I know pretty much what I'm going up against, and I know there's an eye over there, so I'm angling precisely the way I need. And he doesn't do much damage, and he knows that he's only going to get off that 1 salvo, so it looks like he's not even trying. And the cruiser is trying with some torps, and pretty terrible aim there. I don't know what he was aiming at, but that's just good for me. So we'll fire torps at the battleship, and then we'll take on that cruiser. And it looks like the Terrible is running away, which is also a bit strange. He could just be firing torps at me out there, but he's not. And also here I make a mistake. I eat a full side of torps. I really should have died here, but I didn't. So that's good, German torps. And here's the last example that I also decided to include. And this is also just a few minutes into the game, and I know that all the ships are pretty much on my left-hand side here, and I don't really have to worry about anything from my right side. There's no one there to citadel me or anything like that, and I'm protected by the islands for what I'm planning to do here. And my plan is really just to create some confusion behind the enemy lines and try to push them all out from behind the islands and into the path of all the blue battleships you can see over there on the left flank. Now a little surprise here is that Kutuzov behind the island there, he doesn't run away, he actually engages me. Which I didn't expect. I thought he would just set sail and move the opposite way. But he's not really firing at me, and when he's firing he's shooting HE. So I just decide, well, okay, fine. I'll just I'll show you broadside, and I'll keep my HE loaded as well, because I mean, you never know. And I'll try to take him out with torps and get the Iowa at the same time. And like I said, I keep using HE because I'll just take out his modules. As long as he's firing HE at me, then I mean, not much is gonna happen.
Enemy cruiser sunk.
Okay, next I'll just quickly go over smoke. As like one of Atago's strengths is because of the really fast speed it's going at, it's really good at rushing smoke, and it doesn't matter if it's destroyer or like a Russian cruiser in there. Like those are your primary targets, and going 43 knots, you'll be able to rush that smoke really, really fast. And if you're smart, like usually I try to be, perhaps not that much in this clip, I use the smoke against the destroyer to try to put it between myself and whoever's backing up the destroyer, to at least try to mitigate the damage I'll take when taking it out. And here's another example of a couple of destroyers thinking they're gonna take this cap. And again, I just wanna underline, this is the beginning of the game, and the cap is under attack by the enemy. And as a cruiser, this is your job. This is what you're here for. You have to take out those destroyers, even if it kills you. You can't do that sitting behind an island somewhere. You have to get into the thick of it. And I'm a little bit lucky here that both the destroyers pop smoke, and like I said before, that's excellent. I'll make use of that. So thank you to the two of you. So yeah, I just go in with sonar on, and quickly they realize that I'm spotted and I'll have to make a move, and that's basically it for them. If my team backs me up just a little bit to keep the battleship up my back, I'll be able to take out these two, and like, that's usually what I do in the Atago in the first 3-4 minutes of the game, if I can, of course. Okay, the last thing I'll go over in this video is battleships, which is pretty much the easiest thing you can face in an Atago. Cruisers are the most difficult thing to be up against, and then destroyers and battleships at the last step of the ladder. Like you see here, if they run away from you, you burn them down. Just simply keep shooting HE at them at the superstructure, and fire torps when you feel like it. And just use that agility and speed to avoid the shots. Should the battleship decide to charge you instead of running away, like we'll see in the next clip, then that is a golden opportunity for Atago. That's the best you can ever happen to you in a game. So what I usually do is I fire one set of torps to make him turn the way I want him to turn. And right now he's thinking, oh, no, I'm in trouble, I'll just go for the ram. So you make sure that he thinks that he'll be able to ram you, except that you actually turn the whole way around, and then just hope he doesn't fire HE right now and takes out your torp tubes, which happens sometimes. But in this case, no, that didn't happen. Now this maneuver is really useful in the last 5 minutes of the battle, where you can get close to the battleships before anyone else with your 43 knots, and you'll be the one getting those juicy torp hits on them. As with everything else in this game, it's a very situational move, and sometimes you will be able to use it and sometimes you won't. And like I said, the whole game is like that. Now this build, it isn't for everybody. Like I said before, it's an aggressive build, and you have to keep yourself on a tight leash with it. If you have trouble like figuring out the difference between aggressive and a reckless playstyle, then you will quickly discover that this build is not for you. And with that, that's pretty much the end of my video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and it at least gave you a little bit of like a few pointers to how to perhaps improve your Atago play, or perhaps play it a completely different way than what you're doing now. I'll just quickly go over the main points, and it's basically, this build is all about rudder and speed. Use that to dictate the battle the way you want it to flow. Never slow down, ever, not even in smoke. Always be the first ship spotted, so your team has the time and the opportunity to get into better positions. And don't be afraid to get right into it from the first minute of the game, but just make sure that you have an escape route in case things go south. Evasion tank all the time. That's probably one of your main jobs with this build. And try to keep all enemies on one side of the ship, because the turret rotation is so slow that like it takes too long to fire from both sides of the ship. Cruisers are your main enemy, especially the ones that have a reload of less than 10 seconds and powerful AP. And lastly, just remember that it doesn't really matter how good a player on the red team is. As soon as those shells have left his barrels, then, I mean, he's shown his hand, and it's up to you then.